So, what exactly is term life insurance? What's it good for? And what are the things that nobody tells you about it that you actually really need to consider? There's two secrets to it that I've discovered that nobody ever talks about that I hear. So, stay tuned. We'll talk about that today on Insurance Foundations. All right, I'm John Troms, and today we're going to cover term life insurance. If you watched the other video on life insurance that I made, you'll know already that term life insurance is a contract between you and an insurance company where you agree to pay a monthly or annual fee. And for over a certain amount of time or a term, they agree to cover you in case something happens to you. This is really a useful type of thing to cover your family, especially if it's a young family. If you have a mortgage, you have children that need to go to college, there are things and expenses, specific expenses that you want covered in case something were to happen to you over, say, the next 20 years or 30 years. And term insurance is relatively inexpensive, and so it's a great option for covering those specific expenses. Which brings me to my next point, the thing that nobody talks about. I've watched quite a few of the major financial gurus, and they never talk about the downfall of term insurance. I ran into this with a customer of mine nearing retirement age, and he wanted to look at life insurance options. His 30-year term life insurance policy was coming to an end in a year or two, and he wanted to see what was affordable for him and what he could get. What we discovered after looking at his own policy and at some other things that were available for him was because he was at late retirement age, insurance was too expensive for him to buy. Extending his term policy was also not an option because if you look at the tail end of a 30-year term policy and see what you can renew it for, you will discover that the cost of that policy exponentially increases every year you extend it. What it all boils down to is that when your term policy ends, depending on how old you are and your income level, you might not be able to afford life insurance. So, if you are planning on getting life insurance and having life insurance to the end of your life, term insurance sets you up for not really being able to afford it. Term insurance covers immediate costs now or immediate concerns now. Permanent insurance would set you up for end of life concerns and give you a lot more options, frankly. So, this brings up the second secret that nobody really talks about in term insurance is that it has no cash value, which means that that money that you pay in is not added into an account. And if you close that policy, then you can get some money back. You can't borrow against that policy. You can't use it as collateral. You can't do anything with it. Basically, with term insurance, you are giving them money, and if you die in that time, they will pay out. If you don't die in that time, you are just giving them money. With a permanent insurance, when you pay in your premiums every month or every year, some of that value goes to cover the insurance, and some of it goes to actually a cash account, which basically like a savings portion in the account. There's lots of different things you can do with that. I'll get into that later with a video on permanent insurance. But you can have a cash value to the account, and that value grows with interest, either guaranteed or tied to stock market or something like that. But it can grow, which means that if you want to take a loan from it, you can do a lot of things with it. Again, we'll get into that later. But term insurance has no cash value. With those two concerns that I have that nobody talks about in mind, should you get term insurance? I think yes. Depending on where you're at in life and depending on specific needs that you and your family have or concerns that you have, I think term insurance is a wonderfully inexpensive way to make sure that if something random happens to you and you do die early, your family is covered. I do believe that it shouldn't be your only source of insurance, though. I think that term insurance should be coupled with permanent insurance, at least to some extent. So you're covering now and you're covering later at the same time. So I believe in balance. And I think this is going to be a theme throughout a lot of the videos is balance. Balance and approach to what you do with your money and how you use insurance. Hope that gives you something to think about. Again, contact me through insurancefoundations.com. I'd love to hear from you, love to talk more about this and discuss your own specific situation and find out if you've got the right kind of coverage, if we should start like mixing in some permanent insurance, what are good options for you. It's never too late to buy life insurance. Sometimes it does get more expensive, especially if you're older or later on in life, but it still is an option, and there's some really creative things you can do with it. So send me an email. Let's talk. I'd love to figure out what we can do for your situation. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.